Yep, I paid producers on Fiverr to make me some beats. What's going on? I go by the name of First Official. I'm a producer from Boston, Massachusetts. And as you just heard in the beginning of the video, I paid producers on Fiverr to produce some beats for me, which I know sounds weird because I also just said that I'm a producer from Boston. But basically, I've been, looking at a lot of different YouTube videos. I generally just do anyway, watch a lot of producers and what they do. And in looking at different videos, I came across different people who were using Fiverr to have certain things done for them. So like there was a producer that I saw that had different live musicians, actual like session musicians from Fiverr. He at least used Fiverr as if they were session musicians, and had a drummer play the drums, then got a bassist to do the bass line, and then I think he might have had someone to do vocals after that, or a guitar player or piano, something like that. But either way, he just went through and did found different services on Fiverr to create a track for him. Just to kind of, I guess, experiment and see if he could actually put something together using Fiverr. And I've seen other producers do exactly what I did, where they had producers on Fiverr make beats. So I was just like, you know what, let me try this. I like the idea of it. I can look at it as almost like collaboration. But then it's also, like I said, just a good idea. And I had a certain thing in mind. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to follow through on that or not based upon what I got back. But either way, I think it was a good experience. I don't know if you've ever used Fiverr before. I've used it a lot of different times and gotten, varying results. And I would say that this time was pretty much the same. I'd love to get your feedback in the comments after you hear them. Just let me know what you think of them. But here we go. So here's a sample that the producer that made this beat had to use. I actually sent him two different compositions. This is the one that he chose to use to make the beat. So that's pretty much the sample, just to give you a sense of like what it was that he had to work with. Now let's check out what he did with it. So that was the first one. I have to say it's been a little while since I've listened to these, and I'll say my response to listening to it right now compared to when I first heard it is different. I have to say this was, like I said, the first beat that I got back, and when I heard it initially, the producer didn't really do a whole lot with the sample. Pretty much what you hear in the intro is the sample for the most part. Obviously, there's some things that come in later with the drums and some other kind of like instrumentation that he played over it. but I just feel like overall the beat isn't really that cohesive, right? There's the sample that I'm familiar with, so I know, you know, what that should sound like or what it sounds like, and then there's what he added with the, like I said, some, I think it was almost like a synthesizer. I don't remember exactly what it was. There's even, it sounds like a use of another sample, like a Tribe Called Quest type of sample they threw in there. And then the drums obviously came in, but it just didn't feel cohesive. Things kind of felt not really like they were gelling together in the way that, you know, for me, I would have liked to have heard. So that was the first one. Let's check out, you know, the next one. So this is the sample that the producer had, or one of the samples that the producer had to choose from to make the second beat. All right, so this is the sample for the second beat. So yeah, that was the second one. That was literally the second one that I got back. This person probably took about 2 days to get it back. I think for all of them, it was supposed to take upwards of like 4 days. Only one of them was set to take even more. I think that person's was like 6 days. So that was the second one. So this is the sample for the third beat, right? This is again one of two samples that the producer had to choose from. Again, that's the sample that the third producer had to, one of them that he had to choose from. Let's check out what he did with it. So that's what the third producer did with it. Did with the sample that he chose. Like you can clearly see that, you know, he's a producer that likes to chop. So of the first 3 beats that we've heard so far, this is the first one where I've heard someone actually take the sample, chop it up, and then replay it in some way, shape, or form. Which, you know, I feel like he did a good job in terms of taking the sample and chopping it up. I think in the first half of the beat, which it seems almost like he made 2 beats in one with that second one that you just heard. That was all same beat from the same producer. But in the first half, I feel like the drums didn't quite complement what he did with the chops as much as what he did with the second part of the beat. But I would say, you know, overall the beat still could use something like a bass line of some sort would have been good. So that was the third beat. He actually delivered on the day that, you know, it said it was supposed to be delivered on, which was like the 20th. I think I put in the order on the 17th. So 3 days later is when I was supposed to get the order. So I guess you could say, you could hear that, you know, he took a little bit more time with it, with the fact that he chopped it up, compared to the other 2. Although with the other 2, they definitely did add something to it. In the second one, I think like the producer kind of slowed the sample down a little bit, added a little bit of stuff to it, some other sounds to it. So it's kind of relative. Let's check out the last sample and the last beat. One thing I do want to point out is the third one, the one that I just played. I actually paid the most for that one. And I'd say, based upon the fact that, you know, of the 3 that I just played, it's not necessarily my favorite one out of the 3. So the fact that I paid the most for it kind of feels, you know, a certain kind of way. I'm about to play the sample that the final producer that I have, the beat that I have for. I'm going to play the last sample that he chose. Again, he had 2 samples. He chose this one to use. So I'll play this and then I'll play his beat so you can get a sense of what he did with it. Here we go. So I know that that's pretty much the sample. Let's check out what he did with that sample. Here we go. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'd say of the 4 beats, that one was definitely my favorite. for different reasons. For one thing, not only so realistically, like he played a lot of the sample as it was, but what he layered on top of it really complemented, like the way he played the bass line to it, the drum loop that he used, the drum programming that was there, had a swing to it that worked. The instrumentation that he layered onto it later, how he even kind of he added some things to it and was able to kind of drop the sample out at a point and let what he did stand out more. I definitely feel like, of the four, this beat is the strongest of the four. In my opinion, hands down, without any doubt, it's the strongest of the four, and not just because of the fact that he added more to it or what have you. It's just like the production of it, I feel like, is the strongest of the four. And it's funny because I remember after, and the order that I got the beats delivered to me in was almost exactly the way that they responded back to me and accepted the job. And he was the last one that I actually finalized the deal on. And he also, I remember in seeing the date of when I should expect to get the beat, his was the one that was, like I said, was going to come a lot later than the others. So with the first three, the date of delivery was supposed to be the 20th. And as you see, there was a variation in that. The first person I booked with, he delivered first. The second person delivered next. The third person delivered on the day it was supposed to be delivered, and then he delivered on the day he said he would deliver on. But he took more time, and I think that was apparent. And it wasn't just because he just took more time just to take more time. It to me shows that he took more time in producing the beat. And in the end, he ended up giving me the strongest beat out of the four. So that was definitely a pleasant surprise, to be honest with you, after the first three. But then, like I said, in hindsight, looking back, listening to the beats again, they're not bad beats. They're just not necessarily, when you think about the idea of paying someone to make the beat or what have you, I would have kind of expected a little bit more. Not that I paid a ton of money. I wouldn't have. But I just wanted to see, like I said, what would a producer do with these samples, right? So I don't know if I mentioned this, but I recently started making sample packs. I made a couple last year. I'm making one every month this year. So this is a new experience for me. So I wanted to be able to, like I said, get a sense of what producers can do with it. And like I said, I had an idea of what I want to do with these, what I was going to do with these beats when I got them back. And I may end up doing something with that idea going forward. But we'll see. But one thing that I want to do is, first off, let you know that in the links below, in the description below, I'm going to put links to a few other beats that some producers that I know made using samples from this pack, but also an earlier pack, the first pack that I put out this year. And I'm also going to put a link in the description for some free samples. They're pretty much kind of like some samples that I pulled together from all the packs that I have, where you can just, get those for free to check out what it is that I've done. But I also, in keeping with maybe even trying to make this idea that I have, which the idea is, I was thinking about having these beats that are made, put them together as like a beat tape and release it as a beat tape. So this last beat that I just played is definitely one that I definitely know I would put on that beat tape. But I'm throwing out there for you for this month, a free download of this pack, the same pack that they had. In the pack, you actually not only get the compositions, but you get the stems, so you'd have way more control. In all honesty, I didn't give that option to them, partly because I felt like it might be too much. In the time that they had, they probably wouldn't have even used them at all. Maybe in hindsight, I would have, if I had to, I might have actually done that so that they had a little bit more control. But I'm saying for you, in the description, there's a link to download the sample pack for free. It'll only be there for a short time, maybe for like the next week or two. I'm also dropping another pack and more videos, of course. Let me know what you thought of the beats in the description. And again, if you're a producer, jump on in, grab those samples, grab the pack, chop it up, send it to me. Let me hear what you do with it. I definitely would be interested. And then otherwise, as always, subscribe to the channel, click the like button if you like the content, and be on the lookout for more. Peace.